So here's what I'm bringing. In the last 8 years, I've been diagnosed with aggressive B-cell lymphoma 3 times. One of them was primary central nervous system lymphoma, brain cancer. So I do have some experience with this. And what I'd like to do with the time I have here today is try to lift this dark veil that sometimes surrounds and permeates lymphoma and show you that there's a much more accurate, bright outlook that I think is a better way to look at this thing. And I'd like to try to give you a couple of actionable things that I hope that you all can use to make your journey through this process a little more smooth. I think that the easiest way to do that is maybe to show you a couple of pictures of some of the things that I did when I went through. Here's a picture of me with my son Maxwell when I was going through the CNS lymphoma. And the funny thing about this picture is that I did not let anyone take pictures of me when I thought I looked sick. So the only reason I let people take this one is I thought I was looking pretty good this day. Now, this was a pretty tough thing to get diagnosed with, and my original doctors told me that the best they could come up with was grim for my prospects. And not being too thrilled with that prospect, I decided maybe I should look around and see what else is out there, and that's what brought me to the LRF. I knew somebody in kind of a cursory way, and I knew that they were involved in a lymphoma organization. And I got a hold of them. His name, he turned out he's a board member with the LRF. His name's Tom Condon, I think is here today. There he is, right back there. Thank you, Tom. And for reasons that I still find unbelievable, Tom, without really knowing me that well, took up my cause. And he used his resources in the LRF to find the right doctor for me, who happened to be in San Francisco. Both of us live in the general LA area. And he comes to my house and picks me up. He takes me to the airport, flies up to San Francisco with me, goes to the doctor's appointment to make sure that he really feels this is the right person. And that person was the right person for me, for sure. And what I'm so excited about in the LRF is that, well, this is kind of an unpayable debt that I owe Tom, and he's actually a very humble guy. So when he gets uncomfortable, to say the least, when I say, all I can really offer you at this point is total worship. But his personality here at the LRF is hardly unique. In my dealings with the organization here, you're going to find people like him throughout this organization. It's kind of lean, and it's mean, and it's ready to help people on an individual basis. And I hope that all of you people that are here for the first time can really take that to heart. The doctor that he found for me was terrific, and he said, look, I think you're going to be okay, but it's going to be hard. And he was right on both accounts. And so some of the things that he put me through, I had to go through, obviously, a lot of chemo, a lot. I also had a bone marrow transplant, and I put that up there because that's what it looks like. Mine was called an autologous transplant, meaning I could use my own stem cells. So they just surgically implant that in my neck for a couple of days, and then they pull the stem cells out, and then they take that device out, and that's not really the hard part. The chemo for the bone marrow transplant is the hard part. But anybody that might be doing that, it's not as bad as you may think. I also had to have a hole drilled in my head, right here, so that they could put a device called an Onmaya reservoir in my head and inject chemo directly into my brain. This one, I will tell you, was not the most pleasant thing that I've done. But here's what I would add, because all of you will be going through things that are uncomfortable. But it's a lot easier to go through these dramatic things when the doctors are telling you that if you'll deal with it, they're pretty sure you're going to be okay. It's a lot easier to sit there and take it when that's the case. And that was certainly the case for me. And I show you these pictures also for a couple other reasons. One, well, I think they make me look very sympathetic. And one of the things that I miss about being sick is the sympathy. Because it's a great perk that you get when you have lymphoma. Because the risks of having it are way, way down. But the general public has no idea about that. So they give you this credit card, a cancer card, if you will, that you get unlimited credit, there's never a payment due. And so you're in the supermarket, and there's 8 feet line. You just tell somebody, I got cancer. They cannot get out of the way fast enough to get right to the front of the line. You can use it at airports, at restaurants. You can drive however you want. Police officers will never give you a speeding ticket. And if you're in an argument, at some point you just say, you know I've got cancer. There's no comeback for that. You win, right? Okay. But the other reason that I show it to you is because I really do want you to know that I have experience in this, that I know that what you're going to be doing is mentally and physically grueling. But on the other side of it, you're probably really going to be okay. So put up with it for right now and understand that there's a good outcome here. With that in mind, there are still some proactive things that you can do that will make this journey, if you will, a little more smooth. For one, you've got to figure out a way to stay connected to your regular life. And what I mean by that is, before you get sick, you're all living in this regular world here. And then when you get lymphoma, you begin living in a totally different world over here that's separate, but they stay together for maybe a month or two because you got friends and family and coworkers, they're checking in on you, they're seeing how you're feeling. But at some point, after about a month or two, these worlds begin to separate. And when they do, I know for me, I couldn't figure it out. One day, kind of everybody was gone. And I was thinking, it can't be me. I think I'm a die. So what was really happening is that people stop, they don't know what to say anymore. They don't know what to do anymore for you. And they also go back to living in this regular world, which you're not in anymore. So you're stuck over here, and it's very lonely. You're with doctors and nurses and your immediate caregivers and family, but you're very lonely even with them around. You've got to figure out a way to stay connected to this regular world because you're going to get better and you're going to be going back to that world pretty soon. And if you let these worlds get too far apart, it's going to be very, very hard to get back to them. So keep that in mind. So here are some things that you can do to hopefully stay connected a little bit better. One is, you want to, well, let me put it this way. People really at some point don't know what to do to help you. So has anybody in this room heard this yet? Hey, if I can do anything for you, let me know. Does that sound familiar? Boy, that made me mad when I was sick. But the truth of the matter is that people really don't know what to do. And while I would get really upset about this, it affected my relationships with people because they felt a little sheepish about not helping me more, and I was mad at them. So when I tried to go back to my regular life, there was mending to be done that really wasn't fair on my part because they just were not in a position to know what to do to help. So one of the things that I would suggest, if I was going to do this again for sure, is on my phone, I would keep a list of things as they come up, of things people can do to help. Because it's hard to think of something when they're right in front of you. But if you do have some things that they can help you with, then when they say this question, you say, as a matter of fact, you can do something. Let me grab my list. And you pull out your phone. Now some people are going to look at you like, well, I know you had a list. But what I will tell you is that for the most part, the vast majority, people will be grateful that you have something that you do. They can bring you dinner one night, or they can take you to a doctor's appointment, or sometimes the most help they can give you is just to come over and make some dinner and hang out with you. Either bring something to the hospital if you're there, or at home. It's a great place for you to stay connected with everybody. You'll get the help that you need. They're going to get to feel like they're a good friend, and you're going to have relationships that everyone feels good about when you go back to your regular life. Okay? So keep the list of things for people to do. Another thing that you can do is keep your own calendar. A lot of patients delegate this when they get sick, and they have somebody else start making their appointments for them so that they feel like they can just take care of themselves. That's not normal. That's not staying connected to a regular life. You can keep your own calendar. You can make your own doctor's appointments. You can know where and when you have to be somewhere. You can do that for all of your stuff. It'll keep you more connected. Keep yourself caught up. What I mean by that is, we all know what it feels like nowadays when you don't have your phone for 24 hours. You open it up and you're thinking, I wonder what's going to be in this thing when I see it. So when 3 or 4 or 5 days or a week go by where you're not feeling well, and you're that far behind, it can be really overwhelming. It's something that you can add to your list on the phone, things people can do to help you. Because when you get that far behind on text messages and emails and you're not getting back to people who are checking in on you, they stop checking in on you too. So stay up with your regular mail and ask for people to help you do that. Don't fall so far behind that you think, well, I'm so far behind now that I'm never going to get caught up. There's no point in doing it. Keep yourself caught up. Be a patient that your doctor wants to see. Okay? I know sometimes it's hard not to think, because we all think our doctors are gods. They're saving our lives. But there really are people, like everybody else, and they have a hard job. They go to work every day, and they deal with people who are really upset, and they got to be cheerful and upbeat, and they're meeting with Mr. and Mrs. Dark and Depressing every hour on the hour for days after days after day. And so one of the things you can do is be cheerful, be interested in them. Be someone who wants to have a personal idea of what they're all about. That way, when you're going for your appointment, your doctor says, oh look, Sally and Jim are coming in today. That's like a break for me. You want to be that patient where they're looking forward, because only good things can come of that. Be positive about your outlook. Look, there's nothing scientific. I don't know how you could do a scientific study that could prove beyond a reasonable doubt or a fact that a positive outlook leads to positive outcomes. But I think if you talk to the survivors that are here at this meeting, and I think if you talk to your oncologist and the other doctors that are here, they will tell you that there is a correlation as far as they're concerned with people who feel like something good is going to happen and people who do have good things happen with their illness. So if you don't feel that way, try to get yourself into that mode. And there's something to be positive about here. If you were ever going to get lymphoma in the history of mankind, now was the time to do it. This is an illness that can be solved now. So be positive about that. I would say, have a mantra. Now, I know I live in LA, but I'm not really a mantra sort of guy. I don't do yoga, I don't meditate. And quite frankly, I backed into mine because I have my kids, and I've been a single parent since they were 5 and 3. And they were 12 and 10 when I first got sick. And I needed some way simple to tell them when I had to go off for 3 days and leave them with our nanny, or go to the ER at a moment's notice. So what I came up with to tell them is, listen, I know I'm sick, but if I do what the doctors say, and I don't do anything stupid, I'm going to be just fine. Now when I went to the doctors for 3 days or the hospital, I would say, listen, I got to do this as the doctor said, or I got to go to the ER or something, I got to take care of something, I don't want to be stupid. They were like, great, see you later, Dad, let me know when you're going to get home. Now, where it helped me personally was it kept me focused on the things that are really important to be focused on in this kind of wave of confusion that's around you. There's a lot of things that are going on when you're going through all this. So I'll give you one example. There's lots that I could use, but let me give you this example. When you have lymphoma and you're going through treatments, at some point you have a compromised immune system and you can get infections, and they're dangerous. And so my doctor said, listen, when your fever gets to 100.3, you got to go to the hospital, you got to go to the ER, get somewhere pretty quickly. And I had a situation where like 3 or 4 days in a row, I'd gone to the hospital when my temperature hit that. And you're tired, and you're annoyed, and you're frustrated, and irritated. You just don't really want to do it when the false alarms, especially. So on the 4th or 5th day when it happened again, I thought, it's probably a false alarm. And I got into a chair, and I turned the TV on, and about 5 minutes went by, and I thought, this sounds stupid to me. And I got into the car, and by the time I got to the hospital, my fever was almost 103. And it went up from there. And suffice it to say, bad things happen to cancer patients, lymphoma patients, who don't take care of their infections. So it's a good example of how something like this was able to keep me focused and not sabotage myself. So you can either use this one or something else, but come up with something that's going to help guide you when you have to make a decision that's the right one. As I said, don't sabotage yourself for a dumb reason. Look, I'm running out of time here, but there's a lot of things I wish I could share with you. I'm going to be here for the rest of the day and through Sunday, through the end of the forum. And I guess I'll leave you for this. I hope you'll feel comfortable coming up to me. I'd love to help out if anybody thinks I can be of help to them. But I'll leave you with this. Every year, a few friends of mine and I go to Las Vegas, and they all laugh at me because I never gamble $1. It's not that I don't enjoy it, it's just that I happen to be a very bad loser. And they're not fun to be around. So if I win some money, I don't really care that much. But if I lose $200, I can't speak to anybody for at least the rest of the day at best. So everybody just agrees, Corella, don't gamble with us. But there is a bet in Las Vegas that I find intriguing. It's called a futures bet. It's when you can bet on a team to win the Super Bowl in the NFL before the season's even started, or to bet a baseball team that's going to win the World Series before the season even starts. And there's a bet in here that I do find, a futures bet, that I find like a winnable bet. You know, even in the last 5 years, the strides that have been made are extraordinary in this illness. Just in the last 5 years, it's different than when I went through it. And when you couple that with the people in here that are at an LRF meeting, I mean, this organization is arguably the smartest minds in all of blood cancer research that you are going to be the beneficiary of. So I coupled the advancements and the intellect that's around here right now. And here's the futures bet that I want to make. And I think it's a winnable bet. 5 years from now, everybody in this room with lymphoma is back here at this forum. And so I want you all to do something with me for my bet. I want you to listen to what your doctors say, don't do anything stupid, and meet me back here in 5 years so I can collect on my bet. Thank you all very much.